Administration and Finance, everybody's here, we're all here.
Public Works will now be in session. All members are present.
Yeah.
We're here for item 11. Joe sent out, I believe, through email what the communication is tonight. Basically, the response that we received was essentially 4-1 in favor of it. So I'm sure there's some other questions in here, but we're asking tonight for some kind of direction on where we should go. If we should put this on a future council agenda for a vote, or if you want to go along another path. I mean, what direction do you want? For us, I think for the most part, our work is essentially done. I mean, we had the public hearing and everything else.
Mr. Chairman. I was going to go with Alderman Chaplesky from
Yes.
Public Works.
Go ahead.
I still believe that this should be on a referendum, but before we move further with this, I think we need to really clarify it and put it down in stone. I mean, we had talked about sub pumps, and that was not, no one got that in their letter, no one discussed anything about sub pumps. There were still a few questions that was asked that there wasn't really answers on. I think we have to, everything down solid, no wiggle room or anything. This is the way it needs to go, you know, and it's not.
Can you give us those questions so we can clarify on that? I mean, not tonight.
Right.
I mean, email us or give us a call, and we'll certainly get that information to every one of you, and
But
get it to you.
based on the summary, based on the updates of the engineering department in regard the many of the citizenry who did respond on the issue, you know, when we're talking about in a democratic process, when you have 4-1 and based on the information, the names and the address that people did a test, that's a good direction that the engineering department is following. You know, I mean, if we talk about 120 some people, I mean, they're for it, and then about 21 or 23 against it. So in a voting process, in a democratic process, that's the directions we normally go to. People attest the fact this community maybe for the future needs to do something in regard to what we've been talking about. So I know there's some details, maybe it could be lay out more information. I don't know how much more information, Joe, you have, you know, to bring forward, you know.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I agree with Alderman Chaplitsky that we should have something to look at in
Yeah.
front of us. Do we have a sample ordinance? Do we have something, do you have it drawn up? Because I think we should, I think all of us should have a copy of that so that we can read it and then formulate any questions we might have, any suggestions for change. And then that is, final document is the one we should be talking about, you know, what we're going to do. But until we have a final document, you know, I don't think we want to take any action at this point. So I think the right thing to do is send us all a copy of the proposed ordinance. Give us a couple of weeks to formulate any questions we might have, and then we can take a look at this again at a future meeting and say, okay, you know, when we get all those questions in and everybody discusses and says, okay, yes, we agree with this should be added or it shouldn't be added to the ordinance, and then we can decide what we're going to do from there.
Joe, when you got the data collected and you said it was about a 4-1, did you notice any clusters of responses based geographically within our
No.
city?
It's kind of all over.
That's what because of
So,
course,
yeah.
again, we have some neighborhoods that this would be, you know,
Yeah, and no,
necessary
there's
kind
no,
of thing versus others, so I'm
you would,
wondering.
you would think that you'd hear more from the older neighborhoods, but no, that wasn't the case.
Okay.
It was all over, so, and what I found is a lot of people that were against it, had a misunderstanding of it. And I tried to get it back to some people, but they didn't leave a contact number, so I couldn't get back to a lot of them.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am actually pretty surprised at some of the comments I've gotten from people who I thought would be absolutely against this. Have come to me and said they think it's a wise idea. You know, the idea of, do we go to bigger infrastructure, you know, our existing infrastructure on public right of way that is in decent shape, why should we dig that all up, build our own little tunnel system that's gonna end up costing us more? It makes complete sense, they tell me, to go after the real problem that's causing all the flooding, and that is this, which they feel would cost less. So I'm actually very, very surprised at the people who are calling me with those sorts of comments. Joe, one thing I had talked to you about in the past is, I've been sending you questions, everyone's been sending you questions. One thing I'd mentioned to you, is it possible to get a document that has every question listed and your answer to everything listed out, so we can all see the answers? And there are some questions that are redundant, or just asked different ways. Go ahead and condense those, but just to make sure that over the last year or whatever that we've been talking about this, that everything's been looked at. I just want to make sure everything has been nailed down.
If you want to send questions, I'll keep a list and respond back with copies.
You're keeping those questions now though already, right? I mean, we kind of talked about the idea of.
In the
I
public
do
hearing.
have some, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'd just like to see those spelled out.
I didn't keep all the ones that just called in.
Mhm.
I didn't keep, there was nothing to copy. I didn't write down every question, but a lot of them were repeats.
Mhm.
Is it possible to go back and look at the public hearing and pick out the major questions that were asked
I
there?
I took all the notes on that, I wrote them, you can have my notes. There's like 6 pages.
Thank you.
It was the teacher in me. Sorry.
Any more questions?
Just a comment, I'm just gonna comment on exactly what Mike said. I found the same thing when the discussions with people didn't understand that this is a program to actually reduce the flow. Once you tell them, I said, well, our alternatives are to build our own deep tunnel or some type of a system somewhere that's gonna collect the extra water. And when they hear that this is an ongoing maintenance thing that we have to do, we have to come up with something. And this is probably the least expensive thing that we can look at. And once you explain that to them, they really do change their attitudes. It's pretty amazing. So I'm hearing the same thing.
Mr. Chair, do we have to do this, or are we just being nudged? We haven't been mandated yet on this, have we?
We are mandated to do something right now. They're not telling us exactly how much we have to do. I have to send an annual report on what we did in each basin that is non-compliant.
Yeah, and following up on that, who's mandating this again?
It was started with the lawsuit from the state of Wisconsin. They sued MMSD and all the communities flowing to MMSD. We all agreed to use an allowable flow per acre, and it took several years for MMSD to get the metering in place to accurately monitor which basins are non-compliant. And the first round, we had 4 basins non-compliant, and then this year we added 3 more to that. So now we have 7 basins that are non-compliant. And I think the list may grow as they get better meters.
Mr. Chairman? And what other cities have these basins?
All the cities have.
All of them. And what are they doing?
All
You
the
don't have to
cities
tell
have
me each city,
basins.
but
Not all the cities have non-compliant basins. It's pretty much the older cities have non-compliant basins. Milwaukee, Greenfield, Wauwatosa, West Milwaukee.
and what are they doing? Are they waiting for
They're waiting
us?
for us to go first.
Well, they are watching this, yes, but they're right now using MMSD's money to do pilot projects, which we've already done, and we've showed that we can reduce flows with this type of work. MMSD's money is not enough, and I think West Dallas would benefit more to just focusing all that money on sump pumps, and that's where the sump pumps weren't included in this program because we're paying for them of MMSD funding. So
But we did discuss it
it
going in this
can,
program.
it can be in there because it is part of it, but right now it's not in there. So at some future point, we may want to add that in if MMSD stops funding us.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I would agree with the aldermen that have asked for a document that details it and clarifies every part of this project. Because there's a lot of questions that are still being posed. I'm surprised at the number of people that are in favor of it, because I received numerous emails, and the people that are not in favor are very, very opposed, and the people that are in favor of it say go for it. So there has to be some clarification so we know what to tell our people. One of the questions being posed is, and probably you can answer it, why aren't they putting it on the taxes so they can take it off their taxes?
It's not a tax.
It would be like a utility, so it's just like the sanitary fund that we have now, water and storm. Those are utilities and those aren't tax deductible as far as I know, unless,
I didn't know how to answer it, that's
Yes.
why I wanted to clarify.
Yeah, this is part of the sanitary sewer utility.
Right, yes,
And no, you can't legally deduct utility fees
and
from
put
your
it on the
taxes.
taxes, okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Alderman Weigel.
You said we're non-compliant right now on 7 of our sub-watersheds?
yes.
Okay, 7 out of like 20,
I think there's 34.
34, okay, so 20%. Okay. Could we just implement this plan in the non-compliant watershed, sub-watershed?
Well,
I understand we don't get the economies of scale of it, but we're also then only working on the places where the problem exists.
right. Now, with the whole city funding this, we can only do 170 laterals a year. So if
But we'd only be doing laterals in the areas that are covered. Only the people in the non-compliant watersheds would pay the fee, and only the people that are paying the fee would be entitled to recoup costs involved in.
Like flood
And then
plain-
as watersheds go into non-compliance, which you seem to believe might happen, we could expand the system.
And you could do that. I don't know that it would be a very good idea if we're funding laterals in one area and someone else's lateral fails, we're not funding that one.
Well, they're not paying into it.
Right.
But everybody's contributing to the problem. Always remember that. Everyone contributes to the problem.
But we're only
I'm-
non-compliant in 20% of
Yeah,
the city.
But my flow, I mean, I'm gonna be the last one in the city that ever gets flooded out because I'm very high. I suffer with water pressure because of that. But I'm still contributing my flow to the downstream person over there that
understand
might
that.
be in the non-compliant basin. So why, when I'm contributing to the problem.
Do those
in all
basins
fairness-
stack up like that, or are they like individual watershed? They don't stack. You don't. Does water flow from a non-compliant basin from a compliant
No,
to a
you can
non-compliant?
get in from a compliant basin into a non-compliant basin. I mean, that's how it works. So my flow is going somewhere in non-compliance. I mean, it's gotta be going, and that's how it all is. Everybody should be sharing in the problem because we all contribute to that problem. Simple as that.
any more questions?
Any further from Public Works? I think the direction is to, number 1, draft the ordinance. And number 2, Alderman Rowe?
And if we could get a hold of where these water basins are,
What's that?
Send us a
if
map.
we could get a map of where these water basins are, similar to a floodplain map, there's gotta be
sure.
water basin maps.
Oh, yeah. We'll get that to you.
How many do we have?
32.
34.
Seven and counting. Don't worry, we're not done.
Seven of
Still
them.
you're vague, you need 32, 34,
Well,
you.
It goes up to
Don't like
number
committing
30,
there,
goes
Joe.
up
I don't
to
know.
number 36, but there's some that aren't counted, so I have to go through them and count them exactly. There's some numbers not used.
So we have secret ones.
There's a sewer basin for
Secret bad
Slush
like
basins.
the city, the 116th and Morgan dump is one basin.
Nobody left.
There's a
The whole
basin
dump?
for a state fair, there's a basin for the fair, for
Which
the
root's on?
Greenfield Park. They're not really used, so I don't count.
With this particular communication, you want it to be placed in file, you want it held, what, you have the direction, I think you heard?
Yeah, we got the direction, we'll get you that information as soon as we can, and again, if there's any other questions with that, get back to us, we'll try to supply you.
And you're gonna
with what
draft
you
up
need.
the ordinance.
The ordinance actually was attached to, on the last, from the October 21st meeting, but I can send it out again. So
Would you please?
Yep, I think get it under a cover.
What,
I'm also working on a policy on how these things would actually work, and I'll send a copy of that.
Yeah, send it. That's what,
Super.
that's what everybody was asking.
Okay.
So with this communication, again, we just want to place it on file, simple as
Yeah.
that. Public Works, motion to place on file.
So moved.
second,
Moved by Alderman Weigel, seconded by Alderman Rote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr.
Carried.
Finance,
move for approval.
Second.
all in favor?
File.
Aye.
File. Okay,
Oh, yeah,
so
please and file, I'm sorry,
Please and
yeah, move for
file.
approval, so.
we're done.
Okay, get out of our room.
That's it, I'm going to the chair.
Yeah, no, get out.
With that, Public Works will now be in session. Our first item of business in Public Works will be number 28 on tonight's agenda. It's an ordinance to amend section 1011-2A of the, number 28, of the WARMC relating to parking on snow emergency routes were permitted by sign.
Yeah, if you remember, we were discussing on 116th Street, regarding winter services to be allowed to park during snow emergencies. This ordinance allows for that. It allows from Rogers over to Lincoln, but at the discretion of the Director of Public Works, I can limit that. And talking with, let's see, I think Dan might be here, maybe not. They're basically looking for parking being allowed from Rogers to this, basically a south property line, maybe a third of the whole thing there. They're certainly willing to pay for any signage. Of course, they gotta come back there and clean up the parking areas and that. Talking with them, I'm very confident that this will work, and again, if it does not work, the signs will be yanked and there'll be an ordinance on the next agenda to rescind this ordinance.
Move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Been moved by Alderman Rote, seconded by Alderman Weigel. Is there further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel.
kids from the school never park there? Is it, no, that's too far away, too far down? And this isn't, and this is, I assume, cause when they're busy and they got all their trucks out, they need parking for some employees. But this doesn't guarantee their employees.
Nope.
It doesn't say parking for winter services.
Does not,
It's-
absolutely
They're
not.
just gonna we're just gonna allow some parking in a place, so other businesses may take advantage of it.
And they did ask the school district, they did ask for, at Hale, if they could
Yeah.
park, and of course, the Hale said, well, sure, but you gotta get out of there by 7 o'clock. Well, and rightly so, they parking for their students and their teachers, well, that doesn't help them out one bit. So I think they did give a good try to figure out what.
Off-street
how-
parking, yeah.
And I think the biggie is that they're gonna come back and we don't have to worry about replowing it, that they'll take care of it.
Right.
So it won't cost us. Alderman.
Timely fashion though, I am a little skeptical of the contract, I've spoken with, Mr. Lewis on this. And he assured me that he would definitely monitor the work because I didn't know exactly how they could fulfill their part of the bargain as far as clearing the snow off. These are people that work all night into the early mornings and we have a lot of businesses on that particular street that I'm concerned that, there's, the plowing is completed in a timely fashion. And, I have reservations, like I said, that the plowing take place possibly before there's so much traffic on the road, and for other people to park and from the other companies. So I basically don't know how the operation will take place, but as I indicated to you, I will support it because Mr. Lewis has indicated that he would monitor it. And so, as he indicated, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then we'll just have another ordinance in place.
Yep, instantly.
Mr. Chair?
Yep, who was it? Alderman Weigel?
One more question. So, there'll be a snow emergency declared, and the rest of the street will be no parking,
No parking.
and the police are gonna know, obviously, that the signage will be there. We're not, the plows are still gonna go down that street, our
Oh, yeah,
plows are still,
yeah.
and if it needs to be plowed and there's no cars there, they'll drop the blade and start plowing. We're not really saving any money or anything, no,
No, and money savings.
no,
But it's not costing us anything either.
Yeah.
no, I understand, they're paying for the signs.
But all the room for the cars to park.
But those cars
that'll
wouldn't be
all
parking
full.
there anyway.
Yeah, it's no parking there
Because there's no
anyways.
parking during snow emergency. The rest, right now, the whole street is no parking during a snow emergency.
No, I mean where their trucks are parked, where they're.
Their trucks are parked on their property when they're not being
No,
used.
they aren't gonna be parked
Yeah.
on that, they're gonna be parked on the
No,
street.
no, that's the
No,
driver's
Because
vehicles.
they indicated.
The
they
plow's gonna
couldn't
be out
park-
plowing.
Just a minute. They indicated that they would not have parking for their people on their lot because it's needed for all the equipment that
Mm-hmm.
they had. So all their employees will be parked on
Their
the
employees'
street.
personal vehicles will be parked on the street.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And right now, the other businesses can't park there during a snow emergency because there's no parking.
Yeah, but
We're actually
as the
creating more
ordinance
parking.
stated though, it's from Lincoln to,
Yeah.
so it could probably be happening that
So,
the
and,
whole
but it's
block
not,
would be.
it's not exclusively for them. The other businesses are there.
Right.
If there's a spot on the street, they can park there now.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Not during
Well,
snow
we'll
emergency.
just monitor
Yes,
it.
during a snow emergency. It's not gonna say winter services only. They don't get special stickers for the
That's
car.
right.
Any car, you can go
Right.
park there if you want. It's a little walk from your office. It's a little walk to the jewelry store.
That'd be convenient.
Walking?
You could park there during a snow
Somebody wants to
emergency.
drop me off, maybe.
All right, but that,
Michael picked me up.
it has been moved by Alderman Rote and seconded by Alderman Weigand. Is there further discussion? With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 29, as
This is gonna
resolution
go
relative
quicker. Move
to.
approval.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Weigel, seconded by Alderman Ranky. Any further discussion on item number 29?
Did I read that right? It's like 220?
195.
Okay.
Oh.
No.
No,
196.
the number of fire hydrants was like
Oh,
200.
sorry.
Yeah. It was 221, I think I was.
And I didn't even ask how many.
I did.
You didn't.
It's 221,
I learned.
if I read that correctly.
I'm looking. Nope, it's not
It's on the
in here.
bid sheet. It's on the title of the bid document, I think it was. Where the bids are. No, where the bids are. On the title there, does it say 221 there?
I was gonna say they're about $2,000 apiece.
Nope. The number's not in here.
Oh, okay.
Any further discussion?
Never mind then. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 30 on tonight's agenda, resolution authorizing parking on South 116th from Lincoln Avenue to West Roger Street during declared snow
For
emergencies.
approval.
Moved by Alderman Chaplusky.
Isn't that what we just voted on?
Now,
Well,
That
you
was
changed
the
the
ordinance.
ordinance.
To
now it's
allow
the
us to-
resolution.
I got discussed.
There was no second
I'm
yet.
not having this discuss. Second.
No, okay, seconded by Alderman Weigel. Got it. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Rowe.
should that word not be contract? Shouldn't it be agreement rather than contract?
The city attorney wrote it, so,
Yeah.
I don't know, contract agreement. There might be a difference between the
I mean,
two,
we're
but
not,
Scott's
we're not
here.
paying them to clean this up once they come back.
Oh, no,
They're doing
no,
it
no.
on their own, but that to me is the word contract.
Um,
All right.
this, again, the city attorney drafted this stuff, so.
Right.
You questioning the lawyers?
Not that I'm,
I was looking to see in the actual thing.
but no, we are not, rest
Okay,
assured,
I
we're
just-
not paying
and I just wanted-
anything.
No, we're not getting it.
We're not paying anything on this.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Sorry.
Moved by Alderman Chaplusky, seconded by Alderman Weigel. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 31 on tonight's agenda, resolution authorizing directing Director of Public Works City Engineer to enter into a state municipal agreement for services described herein with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation for the costs associated with reconstruction of the zoo interchange.
Move approval.
Moved by Alderman Weigel, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Chaplusky. Further discussion?
And,
Alderman Rowe.
and what are these costs? Or what,
Mid-
is this for these streetlights again, or what is this?
Street, well, not in this
I mean,
case,
that-
there's a separate one,
I know
pavement marking,
stoplights.
pothole filling, pavement patching, pavement repair, traffic control, about a quarter of Pete's salary. I'd have to lay him off if we didn't get this. For a quarter. I mean, we've been attending a
That's
lot of
worthwhile. That's a
meetings
lot of money right
regarding
there.
all this, and this is how we are getting paid. For 2015, we're getting, or the allotted amount is $100,000. In the past couple of years, it's been around 63,000.
Did we not give money sometime to the police department also for some traffic control out of this program?
I don't-
Yeah, I'm getting 2 yeses.
Any further discussion? Been moved by Alderman Weigel, seconded by Alderman Chapleski. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, carried. Number 32, resolution authorizing staff to petition the Public Service Commission for the PWAC rate adjustment.
Yeah, these next four are all related, they're all related to the budget that was passed today, tonight, to, basically 35.
Yes.
Now, the first one is regarding the water rate case. Milwaukee in general got about an 8% bump, but because of various reductions to the wholesale customers compared to the retail Milwaukee customers, we'll be going in the PSC asking for about a 3% increase. So we're even doing better than what the overall 8% is. There's no rate change for sanitary. There is a slight, I believe it was $2 every quarter for solid waste, and that is pretty much because of I suspect that when we rebid or redo our leaf and brush disposal contract, remember that from a couple, that will get a substantially cheaper rate than what we did before. This is no reflection on Purple Cow. They've been a very good contractor. They've given us no problems. They've given us good service. But because we did take it a little bit in the shorts a couple of years ago because there was no other bidders there. There's been some that other people down there have opened up. So again, that's the reason for the about $2 change there. And again, no increase in stormwater management fees.
I'd like to make a motion for 32 through 35, all these resolutions for approval.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Chapleski, seconded by Alderman Ranky. That's for numbers 32 through 35 on tonight's agenda. With that, it's been moved by Alderman Chapleski, seconded by Alderman Ranky. All in favor?
One more quick question.
We were close.
He's stuck in there.
Sorry.
Alderman Weigel.
They're slashing the public protection, the fire protection rate. That's what we pay for fire hydrants.
Yeah, yes.
And even the general service fee is less than half of what it used to be, but they raised what we're paying per cubic foot of water.
Yes, slightly. Yeah. We were able to finally convince the Public Service Commission that at any given time, we've got about 6 to 7 million gallons of water stored either at the elevated towers or out at the reservoir. So we can pretty much handle any type of fire all ourselves. We don't not have to depend on Milwaukee. Past rate increase or past rate reviews have always kind of assumed that Milwaukee is providing us citywide with fire protection. That's simply not true, and we were able to finally hammer that.
Public fire protection, that was always in the water bill, or is it part of the fire budget?
No, water
Okay,
utility.
that was always in the water bill. Yeah, I see the impacts here, but it just seems weird that, well, I guess not weird, it's just the way it always has been. Okay, that was my only question.
With that, we again will go items number 32 through 35, moved by Alderman Chapleski, seconded by Alderman Ranky. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Number 36 on tonight's
Move for
agenda.
approval.
Moved by Alderman Chapleski.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Weigel. Any further discussion on the resolution? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Number 37, resolution ordering preliminary plan specifications together to schedule proposed assessments for the improvements of West Durham Avenue and South 90th to Orleans Avenue by concrete construction pavement.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Rote.
I was like, this is probably one of the most unique streets in the city. I bet nobody even knows where Durham is.
I had to read it twice.
My wife's
And
friend lives over there.
It has, but they don't live on it. They
No,
live near it.
no, you're right.
And it's,
On Orleans.
what is it, Pete? 100 feet long and has 2 houses on it. Is new concrete overkill?
I'm not gonna build a full street, it's gonna look more like an alley. So we're gonna.
So what will they
we're
be
gonna do it
assessed at?
cheaply.
What will the assessments be?
They'll be similar to an alley. alley.
No curb and gutter?
No curb and
Yeah,
gutter.
because it's no curb and
I'm just
gutter now.
gonna make it inverted and make it like an alley.
Okay.
It looks like an alley, but.
And there's 4 houses on that?
Well, 3 of them use it, one of them,
One is a corner with
yeah,
a,
but he still gets assessed.
and they gonna get the full frontage or the corner discount?
They get the
I'll
long
have
side
to look
discount.
at the lot, it depends on whether that's the long side of their property, then they get the discount.
Okay.
But it'd be the cheapest for them and cheapest for the city.
I'll move for approval, but I encourage my other board members to go find Durham.
Moved by Alderman Rote, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Weigel.
Could you
And-
tell us where it is, Mr. Chair?
I don't even think the fire department.
It's south of Cleveland.
No, it's, south of Cleveland.
South of Cleveland in the like 90th.
Is it Fourth District?
Yeah.
I see,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, yeah.
I never heard of
Hey,
it.
you got your bike path, don't you? It's right, it's just tiny, it's 3 houses,
By where?
under his finger. That's how small it is.
Oh,
If you
my.
go to Capri and go west, no,
Oh, it's by Capri?
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that's,
it's
And that
that's,
little area there.
that's
with
wonky
Warren and
GPS.
stuff.
You gotta name the nearest bar.
Oh, where there's that little alley.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I know now.
It's actually a street.
Thank you.
Okay.
With that, been moved by Alderman Rote, seconded by Alderman Weigel. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Number 38 on tonight's agenda, Downtown West Dallas, bid district communication regarding downtown West Dallas Christmas on the Avenue, scheduled for Saturday, December 6th.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Weigel, seconded by Alderman Ranky. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Number 39 is a resolution to confirm and adopt a report of the Director of Public Works Engineer containing the schedule for proposed assessments for approving the generators bounded by South 56. This was the public hearing tonight.
Yep, that was the public hearing, that's a mistake.
I'll
Move
move
to
move for
approve.
approval.
Moved by Alderman Ranky, seconded by
I'll second.
Alderman Chaplesky. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Rote.
Pete, and I didn't wanna bring it up in the public hearing because it's probably not the place, but where we got those sidewalk slabs heaved and you saw the little asphalt blending it in and everything like that, are we trying to fix some of those with that milling machine we have?
Yeah, they do some grinding, and we'll do some grinding on this cone too.
Okay.
Yes.
But grinding doesn't count as mud jacking or replacing, grinding is free?
No, there is a $50 charge for grinding when we do it under the contract. If the city just goes out there and.
That's what I meant, I mean,
Yeah.
we've got that piece of equipment now, I don't know what we
They
spent,
do that for free, but if.
I mean, I'd like to see that
We're also
being
doing
used
some
a
on
lot.
this contract, and it is assessed.
Okay.
My little route that I walk, which goes from Washington up to 116th and back down through like Theodore Truck and Driving Center, it's incredible how many are milled.
Okay.
It's incredible. I'm gonna say 10% of the, you'll see.
Okay,
they
I just said,
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Alderman,
You mentioned that the contractor does the grinding though, it's $50?
Both. Well, yes, if the contractor. under
Well, mud
this-
jacking's cheaper than grinding then.
no.
No,
No?
no.
Well, how big is a slab?
5
Oops, sorry.
25 square feet times $1.79?
I'll have to check if it's, I thought it was 50. We don't, we usually are grinding like a driveway, a bigger.
Approach or something?
I guess we're not typically grinding sidewalk like the city is with
Okay.
their own machine.
I just thought it strange that grinding would be that much more than, would be more than.
I think the assessment rate's $50.
And who makes that, our staff makes that decision, they grind this,
Yes.
mud jack that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
yep, Alderman Chaplesky.
did I misunderstand? You said this area wasn't done since '97?
That's correct.
I thought it's done. I thought we do like a fifth of the city. Every 5 years, we do a portion of the city.
We're behind.
Well, behind.
Tenth is.
It's a 10-year program.
We're behind now.
Because
We're out of money.
I
This was supposed to be done last year and we ran out of
remember.
money, so I had to postpone it. So yeah, we're not,
well, you don't have to come down my block. I'm okay.
and we're not actually, because you.
Just did it last year.
Yeah, right. 56, 57, 58. they're not being done.
Very-
Mr. Chair,
yeah,
there's a
Alderman.
lot of trees in that area. Do you ever build a sidewalk around a tree?
Yeah, we built an arc, absolutely.
I see.
And then just
When
make the
you're
sidewalk smaller
grinding,
and
that's
narrower.
what I mean.
We do it on a 4-foot walk and you have a little
I
arc
do
there.
know.
Okay,
Cut the roots underneath. If you grind, you don't actually, you're not, they're usually not, choosing to grind because you're not taking care of the roots. Like that woman said, you're gonna have the same problem in about 5 years.
Yeah,
So
trees.
grinding is a little more temporary. We usually take the slab out, cut the root, hopefully we don't have to come back.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on item number 39? With that, it's been moved by Alderman Ranky, seconded by Alderman Chaplowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Last item on the agenda, number 40, final
Move for
resolution.
approval.
Moved by Alderman Chaplowski.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Weigel. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. With that, that'll conclude Public Works, and we will turn the meeting over to Alderman Chaplowski, Chairman of License and Health.
Call the meeting to order. And we'll call up Angela Griffin.
I don't have anything we can share.
Angela Griffin?
No. Oh, because.
I don't know.
Monday.
Willie Johnson Jr. Willie Johnson Jr.? His name's right in.
I'm gonna go out there right now and ask.
He may be sitting out there. You think? How about Kay Miller?
We're just on a
Okay.
roll.
Turn the meeting over. No. I think they're
Who are
probably
you?
sitting
Maybe
out
we
there.
can skip
No,
you.
Kelly
There
I
we
was
go.
just gonna say that.
You were just
Kelly
gonna say
Simons,
Kelly
come on up.
Simons.
You get first in it, Chair.
Do I get to sit?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, you're applying for bartender's license. Is a
Yes.
new application,
Yes.
and you're gonna be at the new Ron's
Ron's
Powerhouse.
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Wagner.
There.
Kelly, I'm reading your record here, and I see it says in February of 13, Green Lake County, you got operating while under the influence.
That would have been August.
Well, the
August.
conviction was February.
I was convicted in August of this year, and I was pulled over August the year prior. So I was pulled over in August of 13.
In Green Lake County.
In Green Lake, yes.
Okay. And that was possession of, there was marijuana involved, it looks like, and some
Right.
paraphernalia. And then in Milwaukee in 2010, you have an OWI,
Yes.
is that correct?
Yes.
And then in 12, you have an OWI that was dismissed and a PAC that was dismissed, prohibited alcohol content in South Milwaukee.
Yes.
What was that? What happened in South Milwaukee?
With the dismissed one?
Yeah.
I was pulled over without probable cause, and I was arrested without probable cause, which is why I was dismissed.
Okay. And the Green Lake County one wasn't, it says operating while under the influence. Was that marijuana or was it alcohol?
It was marijuana.
And where do you currently live?
I'm on 98th and Schlinger.
Okay. And you're gonna work on 71st and National.
Yes.
Do you have a driver's license now?
I do not.
How close are you to getting it back?
I should have it by the end of this month. I just have to get the interlock installed, and I am set. Just an occupational. I'm revoked for 2 years.
And when would you get it back? Do you know?
May of 2016.
That's my questions, I guess.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Alderman Barza.
while you look at the record and there's a lot there, but most of the stuff has been dismissed, so what I'm seeing, that we would base any of our decisions on would be the operating under the influence and one OWI. Other stuff has been dismissed and really can't take into account, those items, in my opinion. So with that, I'm gonna move for approval of the license.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Chair.
Second. Any further discussion? One of our police department always tell us one of the biggest places for moving drugs is in bars. You seem to have a little problem with that, and I don't like that. And I understand they've been dismissed, but you need to watch it, because we'll be watching you.
Absolutely.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
And I'm gonna vote present because I wasn't here for the discussion, so. But we still have 3, so it can still
Right.
go out of committee.
Correct. Okay, now it's gotta go to council for.
It'll be acted on
Tonight.
tonight, and then if it's approved, who's giving the lecture? So if it's approved, and anybody else here for a license, it'd be approved tonight and signed tomorrow, and you can pick it up tomorrow during the day in the clerk's office, and if you don't pick it up, it will be mailed to you if it's approved. Also, we expect people who bartend in our community to be partners with the police.
Absolutely,
If there's a problem, you will call the police,
for sure.
you will be helpful. Card people,
Oh, yeah.
don't, we got a fresh stack of police reports here. There are reports of the police report says highly intoxicated patron slamming his head against the bar.
Sure.
I don't like seeing those.
No, absolutely not. Like, one thing I learned from my DUIs is I sure as hell I cut people off a lot sooner than I used to. I call cabs a lot more than I used to.
This isn't aimed just at you, this is for anybody else who's
Sure,
getting a license
sure.
here, so.
No,
But,
I learned I try to help my customers
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
That's why your OWIs are frightening to me,
Sure.
and that's why I would like to see customers or bartenders monitoring what their customers drink
Sure.
and cutting them off if needed.
Sure.
Also, there will be occasion when the police might send somebody in to buy a drink that's not of age.
Right.
I'm gonna guess that if you get the ticket, your boss is gonna make you pay for that.
Oh, yeah.
It's $300 or $400 at last count, I think. So
Absolutely.
keep an eye on it.
Mr. Chair, I'll point out the reason I wasn't here for the discussion is just because I was at the Administration and Finance Committee meeting. Not that I was off
We
doing
knew that.
anything else.
We knew that.
Let the record to reflect.
What do we?
Exactly, that's what it is.
Do you think something else?
Nobody was
What are you writing in those minutes there, Monica?
Yeah.
He wasn't here. Okay, you're done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Angela Griffith? Still not here.
Mr. Chairman, just for point of, if you want to stick around to see the vote on the council floor, you may, but
Okay.
you don't have to.
Sure. Okay, thank
How
you.
long will it be?
Probably another 15 minutes,
Yeah, it
half
won't be
hour
long now.
max.
We're through
We'll-
the gory parts.
Yep.
Okay.
Willie Johnson Jr.,
Is this his second time?
Kay Miller?
Is-
Kay's here. Who's that?
Was Willie Johnson Jr. was
There
this
we
his
go.
second?
She was out the council.
Oh,
the
okay.
council chair.
No.
I thought I remember seeing called. Oh, it was called.
Okay, this is another new bartender, and you're gonna be working at Natty Oaks. You heard everything that Alderman Weigel has said? Did you,
Oh, to the last row?
oh, he's saying that to everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
I did.
About
Yes.
carding people and keeping
Oh, yeah.
that. Yeah.
And you put down, okay, you were one of the ones with the note on the back. Okay. Well, going to a place that we haven't had a lot of problems at. Does anybody have any comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman Barzan.
looking down the record, I'm gonna go back to 2001. I mean, we're talking 14 years ago. Not even gonna ask you about it. 2002, it's quite a while ago, in 2007. OWI, implied consent. May I, and then it was a conviction on,
It's a refusal to take the breath test.
okay, so wouldn't take the test, but still was convicted at that
Counts the
point.
same as a OWI.
Yep, and that is in the record. So what I'm seeing is 2 OWIs, basically. The council does, the committee has a unwritten rule that it's 3 strikes and you're out. If there's a third OWI that we would see, that's what we really take into either revoking a license and or not granting. We have in the past granted a couple that had 3, but they were like 20 years ago, and for 15 years they had nothing on their records, and we're going like, I think they learned their lesson. With 2 of them, normally you learn your lesson also, and that's why normally In the past, we have granted licenses with two. Our responsibility, and it's difficult, when we grant a license, we can be held accountable for our actions. So that's when we see the three, we're thinking that person just isn't getting the message. With two, like I said, I'm hoping, the last one was 2007. That is, 5 years ago, give or take, and the other one was quite ways ago. So you have to be extremely careful. You have two, you're riding on thin ice. The next one comes in, it probably would be, I would even look at it probably revocating the license and taking it back away. So I want you to be extremely aware of that. So I'm going to vote for approval of the license.
You making a motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, Alderman.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel.
in your letter to us, you mentioned a felony conviction. I guess that's my real concern. I don't need to know any details about it, but that's what I find troubling. 2 OWIs and a felony. And that was and where was that? Was that in North Dakota or?
The felony?
Yeah.
Chicago.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's really what I would have a problem with. So.
Is it any further discussion? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Once again, it goes to the council floor.
Thank you.
You said you're reading things, huh? Okay, up here. Okay, Terry McGee. Oh, okay. I'll bring the note in.
Who's this, Terry McKee?
Have a seat. Okay, we have another new bartender's license. And you're gonna be at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Correct.
Are you working there now?
Yes.
You work in Tulsa now?
No, I was at the Applebee's in Wauwatosa.
Okay. And you,
Move for approval, Mr. Chair?
Second.
any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Alderman
And
Weigel?
you heard what we said, your one OWI is a concern to us,
I'm in management, so we take that very seriously there. So
Yeah. The other thing for us is, we give you this license, you can go bartend anywhere in West Dallas with it too. So BW3s is generally not a problem spot for us, but that's why you're in here. So.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Rupinder. Hello again.
Hello.
You applied to us before for a license at the liquor store over here on Greenfield Avenue. And Alderman Weigel had shown up and you were the only person there without a license. Which is against our city ordinances. We have a problem that you're showing continuous not caring about the city codes or city ordinances. When you own the place, and now when you're over there just working, you just seem to not care. And so Alden Weigel was in there himself and saw you by yourself there.
Yeah, because, can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, owner wanted me to work,
Mm-hmm.
and when I was owner, nobody came to check the bartender license.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I
But
did
that doesn't mean it's not wrong.
Yeah, I know it's,
It's
I
just,
have to follow
just
the
because no
rules,
one came
but-
in and checked it, that's,
But when he came, then we closed for a few days, and then they found a bartender with
is,
West Ellis, yeah.
is she running the place?
Yeah.
Where is she?
Mhm. She is actually a student in Chicago. She goes, she needed me to run the store here. She
Mhm.
comes on the weekend.
A weekend
She's
owner.
here on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Alden Weigel.
She lives in Chicago.
No, she lives here.
She lives here, so
Yeah.
she commutes to Chicago, takes a
Right.
train down, stays there 5 days a week, and comes home for the weekend.
Right. For 3 days she comes at the store.
But you handle like the ordering with the salesman.
Yeah,
and that
Monday,
kind of-
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
And you know, I guess really that's one of the concerning parts to me is when it was your business, we had some problems, okay? And we were in the process, if I recall, beginning of summons a complaint and revoking your license. And then suddenly you sold the business to this other person.
I didn't sell it to,
Well,
you know, the bank took it from me.
The bank took
and
it
they
from
bought
you.
it from the bank.
they bought it from the bank.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you're working for her, but you're kind of running the place.
Right.
But you don't have a license right now because we didn't issue it to you last time.
Yeah, so that's why I'm
You know,
here today. for
You know, Alderman Chapletsky's right. I mean, this is just, you know, and you know, I didn't end up in there accidentally. One of your neighbors called me, you know, and I told you that, you know, so I just can't ignore a complaint from a citizen about what's going on.
I understand,
You
you know,
know.
I don't know what to say now.
Yeah.
Close the store, and I apologize for that,
Yeah.
you know.
Mr. Chair?
That's-
Alderman Rowe.
And I have to agree with Alderman Weigel too, the total disregard and disrespect you've had for this committee appalls me over the last year and a half. And is it my understanding that the new owner is named Rwanda too? Or the last names
Last
are?
name's the same.
Last name.
And you can absolutely guarantee us that that's just a coincidence? I know it's a popular name.
Yeah.
Because we've heard,
That you can
we've heard
check.
Robinson as a
I
popular
don't
name
have
6
any
years
blood
ago.
relation with her, no.
None,
They all-
absolutely none.
No, nothing at all.
Mr. Chairman?
I have
Alderman
explained
Barzai.
last time too that, you know, like Indian people, they all have similar last names, like Singh and Randhawa and Kaur, so there's no relation.
Okay, Alderman Barzai.
When I look at the record, and I wasn't here for the first meeting, but once I got a peek at the record, and I go, I take a peek and I go from 2007 to 2013, while you were the manager or you were the runner of the business, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 selling alcohol to underage. Now, I understand that you personally didn't do it, but you are surely liable for that. That's the way you run your business. And again, we have dealt with you in the past and have total disrespect for this committee. I mean, you could care less what we think. You could care less what our opinions are. You've been known to white out licenses and change the dates on them. You have these, how many did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4. You have these 5 charges against you. There's no way that I could responsibly vote in favor of a license for you when you have the disrespect and have these problems that you couldn't even run the business when you were the manager of it. And now I'm supposed to give you a license so you can repeat these things? In my opinion, no. There's enough here that I have enough reason for me to vote for denial. And at this point, I'm going to move for denial of the license.
Do I have a second?
Just before the vote.
No, let's wait.
We
The
don't-
motion's been made.
We don't have a second yet.
I'll second.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, and it's already been said, but I just wanted to kind of reiterate, I guess, what the Alderman was just saying, is that from my knowledge, and I haven't been involved with Mrs. Randhawa. I was last year on a couple of the summons and complaint,
Right.
and then we thought that we had all that straightened out, but at that point is when the bank foreclosed and took the business. But at any rate, getting to this issue, as you had just summarized, Ms. Randhawa, in discussing this whole problem with me, acknowledged that there had been these violations when she owned committed by employees, but she's responsible as an owner. But I think it is noteworthy that during that time, so it's in 8 years of running the business, she certainly was at the cash register and running the business. I mean, serving as clerk during a large part of that time of operation, and she personally has never committed a violation of that sort anyway, where she was accused of selling to a minor. Although, acknowledge
she has acknowledged that as owner, she's responsible when an employee commits that violation. But at any rate, I think that is important, though, in terms of her own. She certainly, this is all she's ever done since she's worked. She's worked as a sales clerk cashier in this type of business since 1994. Now, for 8 years, she was the owner. But this is the type of business she knows, and that's her experience. So I think that in terms of experience and without any violations that she's committed, I think that speaks in her favor as far as her knowing what is required as a clerk in terms of not selling to minors, and as well as the other rules and regulations that are required. So,
yeah, Mr. Chairman, and just to answer that back, and she admittedly said that she's going to be in charge and running the business. And so what I see is that I don't know who she's going to hire, but hasn't learned from the past to teach her employees the right direction to go. I just, like I said, if it was 1 or 2, I could understand that. But when I'm seeing 7 of these,
Can I say something?
I really can't agree with that. And
I'm going to work as a cashier on the liquor store morning 9 to 9 p.m. Just as a cashier on the cash register. There won't be any other employees like I had before. So I know who to sell and who not to sell. It's not, that I'm not going to check their ID. Like he explained everything to you. Before it was done by my employees.
Okay, let me ask you a question here. Did you know, when you were running a store for this other person, that there has to be a licensed person on the premise?
Yes.
When you're working. You knew that.
Right.
And you knew there wasn't.
Yeah, but since I was the owner, there was nobody came to check.
No,
or
I'm
anything,
saying-
So I don't know why somebody complained from next door. Nobody did before.
That's all irrelevant. What's relevant is you knew you were breaking our ordinance and you did it anyways.
But the owner told me to work, so I just work for her.
Is she aware that you have to have a licensed person on the premise?
I don't know. I can't say anything about
I hope so.
Well, maybe we should call her. So, okay, is there any further discussion on this?
All I'm asking you is, that was all passed, and I don't.
But that's
own
how
any
that's how we
business.
can vision the future on your past.
No, I understand that, but you have to give me a chance to work. I find job anywhere in West Allis. I have to have a bartender license, not only West Allis Liquor.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to clarify the motion for denial based on the police report and the history of violations as a business owner.
that is correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, do those violations include the non-appearance in front of this committee, the disregard to this committee, and several times, I think there were numerous ones of those as we were going through someone's complaint process. And it's not a violation, but it was listed in the complaint, and you mentioned, Alderman Barzak, the whiteout on the license itself and the changing of the date when there was.
Ted Atkinson, hang on. Mr. Chair?
Ted,
Are we all squared away with all their building stuff too at this?
No, that wouldn't have to do.
Sure it does. It's just the pattern of disrespect and disregard for all of our.
But she's only in.
This is her operator's license as opposed to
I know what it was.
as opposed to the
Okay.
establishment.
But even though the police department didn't come in and ask her for a license, she admittedly was operating a license, operating a place illegally.
Right, that's why I'm saying it's not strictly based on her record.
Right.
It's also the conduct or misconduct that she's engaged in.
Okay, I see what you're saying there. Okay, is there any further discussion? The motion was to deny. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Sorry. Let's go back here a little bit. I don't see anybody new in the crowd. No.
I don't see Willie Johnson.
No. Willie Johnson, Angela Griffin?
Are they all first appearances?
I think so, yeah.
So we'll invite them in and give them another chance?
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct, that's what we do. Okay, so then let's go to item number 47, ordinance Marty, would you like to?
Yeah, this is the pawn shop plan of operations. So this is the application where then this, and then 47 is directly just for
47 is for, alcohol.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the,
yeah, that's what I'm wondering. No. Yeah,
And 47 is
48's
for,
the,
for-
48's the pawn shop.
right. 47 is the municipal code relating to right of premise, floor plan, and operation.
Was this?
what this does, Mr. Chairman, if I may,
ahead.
is it simply allows the committee to change the plan of operation in response to violations that have occurred or problems that have occurred at an establishment. That was kind of missing in our code, and that now formally puts it in there as a, gives the committee the authority to make changes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, as in we have, our plan was one pool table, we have 10 pool tables now,
Well,
similar.
Well, if their plan was one pool table and it's a problem, we could say 0 pool table.
right, exactly.
We can
They
change
have to
what they
abide by
bring
their
on the
plan, and, but what we had been missing before was with the one pool table, now they've had problems with their pool table. You can now change your plan to say, you know what, you have to get rid of the pool table and
Okay.
change your plans to 0 pool tables because you can't control your pool.
Right.
Mr. Chairman?
Alderman
Would the same
Boswell.
thing happen like with outdoor dining establishment? If you gave them an outdoor dining establishment, you had problems on the particular place that you could change
'Cause
their.
that's part of their plan of operation.
That becomes dicier because of the screwy way our ordinance goes, that this committee doesn't have control of the outdoor dining
Right.
areas, that's all in the special use. So
Right.
that becomes much more nebulous as to whether you can change that plan of operation. I think technically, you'd have to also go run it through and get their, the plan of operation for the outdoor area that was approved as part of the special use change. You wouldn't be able to do that as this committee.
Okay.
Does this enable safety and development to do that then?
Well, like I said, they have a plan of operation for their outdoor
Special
areas
use.
that is part of their special use.
Yeah, but
That's
that's-
all
Couldn't-
safety
couldn't
and
use
development,
this.
Right.
You couldn't use this then, right? That's what.
Yeah, you couldn't use this
Right.
to change the special use.
Okay. So they're just gonna move the pool table outside.
If they would allow that, which seems hard to believe.
Bad example, aren't you?
Hey, it's outside, we can do whatever we want.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Then we have 48, another ordinance.
This is for the pawn shops. We have 2 pawn shops in the city. This is essentially that plan that it's the plan we negotiated kind of with Pawn America, and it seems like it's the best plan we can get. This is finalizing the $250 limit. Otherwise, it's substantially very similar to the liquor store, or excuse me, the bar plan. Hours, dumpster, public space, private space, fire extinguishers, all that kind of stuff. So, but this is the requiring that no cash disbursements above $249. Once you hit $250, they got to write a check, and they can't cash the check.
Are we gonna send it? Now, this takes place immediately after tonight? Anybody?
After passage, right.
After
They would
passage.
have to- It wouldn't actually take effect until the next
Next
application to next.
Because how are they gonna know
Yeah.
about this
Right,
all of a
they're-
sudden?
They're in mid-license year
They're-
now, and it's just.
what-
Right.
Did we renewed their license with the stipulation, but this is just
Right.
formalizing it going forward.
Right.
Right. Okay.
And so this would actually be for the July 1st.
Yeah. And then one other pawn shop we have is on National Avenue.
Well,
And
but you got secondhand stores and secondhand jewelry dealers, and no one's gonna know that.
He
Unless,
says, wait, jewelry? What?
unless,
Hold on.
well, I know it, but I'm willing to bet you that. I'm
Well, I
willing to bet you that
didn't
there's-
think that we were
people are
planning
gonna
on
know.
doing with all the secondhand stores,
That's what it says.
because the $250 limit is, because my intention was that it was gonna be just pawn shops.
Right, and most of this applies just to pawn
Pawn
shops. Plan of
shops.
operation is one that applies just to pawn shops.
And the $250 limit is just pawn
Right,
shops.
it's all pawn shops, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so why is it with the secondhand dealer license also?
Yeah, I don't know, I didn't write this up, you did.
I didn't write it, your staff wrote it.
Maybe it's just interpretation.
Maybe
It's
just the title of it?
Relating to pawn shops, secondhand stores,
Yeah,
and
the-
dealers.
This should all
Yeah.
just be about pawn shops.
Right.
Well, I think the thing though was that the transactions of 250 or more, I think were included in there. I have no idea why.
No, I would make an amendment that because the 250 limit, I mean,
So what do you wanna say, just eliminate secondhand stores, secondhand jewelry dealers? Strike
no,
that?
no, that my intention was that this is just gonna be just for pawn shops. I didn't want, cause we have 120
Well, I mean,
secondhand dealers.
9.15 is titled pawn shop, secondhand store, secondhand dealers, and jewelry dealers.
Yes, but there's some
And
things
this
that
now
relate
starts
just to
at
pawn
sub
shops.
12, which may just be.
We got 12, 13, 14.
Unless you guys wanna.
I would just hold the thing.
Yeah,
I mean, We've
okay.
got plenty of time and we can go through and make
Okay.
sure that that's what you wanted, because I was
Because
not
when I
part of
looked
the
at it, I
drafting
thought it was
process.
just relating to pawn shop. That was my intention. I didn't wanna bring this burden up.
Okay,
Okay, we'll put
which
her
you
on
just
hold.
did.
I did.
Okay, that one is being held. Okay, then we have items number 49 and 50, the various bartender's license.
Move for approval, I believe, on,
Yes.
yes, I do, on number 49.
And both of them, 49 and 50.
And 50.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Place on file.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Then we have, let's see, police report. item
Place
number
on
50.
file?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And now, I'm gonna go through at 52, 55, 56, 57, and 58. It was on, they're on tonight's agenda to be held, but all these
Called in.
were the ones that called in, so we're just gonna place on file, so I figure we just do that.
Move the
now.
place on file?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Let's see.
And we're calling in, you said
Uh,
drunken duck?
Drunken duck and 6 points.
At 6 points.
Okay.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Move for adjournment, Mr. Chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can we just approve the drunken duck too?